This is Tom O'Neill of The Envelope with Bill Maher and Larry Charles. We're at the Toronto Film Festival for the debut of Religulous. But if you win over Hollywood that way, doesn't this documentary you have kind of epitomize godless Hollywood in a way?
I hope.
Good answer.
If I've anything to do with it, it will. I'm not sure that Hollywood is
so godless. Yeah, I think that's kind of a misnomer, really. I think you see a lot of people at these awards. How many people at these awards are thanking God? You know, yeah. So it's like it's not just athletics. It's not just church groups. Hollywood is also using God for their own purposes as well.
Musicians are notorious showing up with bling encrusted crosses, as Jesus would have wanted. All the diamonds on the cross. And always thanking God, usually in between their agent and their manager.
right. The two devils. What I think is impressive about this documentary that you've done is that you're very respectful to the other point of view. There are times where, this isn't a gotcha ambush thing.
No.
And so let's talk about that approach and why you took it.
Right. Well, because it's how I feel. I respect everybody. Now, when it comes to their opinions on the afterlife, I would say I have the same amount of respect for their opinion as they do for my opinion, which is, they look at me, religious people look at me, as you might look upon a retarded child. He's unenlightened. There's a deep darkness in here. He needs to be saved in some way. He needs to be cured. That's how they look at me. So I really don't think I owe them more than they give back to me. But I respect all human beings, and I would like them to see my version of enlightenment. And mostly I want them to laugh. And we also take great pains in the movie to show that it has been an evolution in my life toward the place I am now. I wasn't born this way. I was born into Catholicism and believed that throughout my childhood. And then my family stopped believing in that. And I went through many years where I believed in numerology was very important to me for a while, and song lyrics I mentioned that I thought were talking to me. And, I was on a journey of some sorts. And for years, I didn't think a lot about religion either for or against, but there was some sort of mythical man living in my head who I prayed to when I wanted something and implored to help me when I was in trouble and bargained with and promised I'd be better when I thought he was mad at me. So, I'm not judging anybody. Everyone has to come to their own place at their own sweet time. And I hope when they do, it's a rational place.
In this movie, there's a great little scene where you're down at that Jesus theme park in Florida.
Yes.
The publicist runs in and out, and you let that stay in, and that was, I think, a really great choice. Were there more moments like that you chose not to put in? What's surprising about watching this is that you don't see the antagonistic forces coming after you.
Well, there are occasions like the guy who walks out of the trucker's chapel, the pastor, the ex-gay pastor, stops the interview at one point.
Right.
And in fact, the redheaded woman in the park, in the amusement park, actually stopped us once after that again, because in our fashion, in our filmmaking fashion, we blew her off and kept going. And later on, we were making some trouble somewhere else, and she showed up again and tried to get us out. She kept trying to usher us out. But I've learned through experience that if you just kind of ignore people like that, they eventually fall by the wayside. They have to call the authorities. But in the meantime, we get an extra hour of filming, and we get everything we need, and we're able to leave. So, we had many people try to thwart us at various places, but we were not easily thwartable. That's the key.
Thank God for that. What anti-religion has always needed is its own preacher. We had Madeleine Murray O'Hair. Unfortunately, kind of vanished. Richard Dawkins is just not flashy enough. He's a little too, academic, etc. Are you willing to, beyond the success of this documentary, if this casts you in that role socially, would you be willing to carry this
to lead
crusade?
My people out of the desert, to part the waters of irrationality, and lead them into the promised land?
Or once you won the Oscar, will you say, screw
no.
everybody?
No, I'm just a comedian who made a movie. Well, first of all, you have to understand, rational people are more individualistic. We don't need this. They don't need me. They don't need a leader. They don't need
Yes,
strength.
they do.
Strength
Yes, they
in a, if they want to make it a movement. But the movement is in each of the people. It's in our own heads. It's always been there. If this movie makes people brave enough who feel this way to stand up and go, yeah, we're not the crazy ones. The crazy ones are the ones who believe that Noah lived to 900 years old. You know, something like 61% of the American people believe the Noah's Ark story literally. They love this man. They love his story. They make movies about him, big budget movies, not like the movie we made. They believe it literally, that he lived to 900, had his first child at 500, and got every species, including 1 million insects, to have sex on a boat. They believe this literally. Okay, so if this movie makes people go, oh, I see, that's right, those are the crazy ones, not me. We're not the crazy ones. And Bill Maher pointed out, good for Bill Maher. But they are not going to fall behind me. And, you know, that's the antithesis of what we're talking about. We don't want that. We want you to all, it's like Life of Brian when he yells, you're all individuals. And they yell back in unison, we're all individuals.
Kind of ironic if this became the next religion, wouldn't it? I mean, it's kind of silly.
Yes. But it has that potential.
In a sense, we're trying to deconstruct all of that, so there isn't this sort of dynamic. But obviously, humans do need this dynamic. They are attracted on some deep level to either following or a monomaniacal leading. You know, and this is what we see this with Miranda in the movie and other people. There are people who gravitate to these sociopaths who gravitate to these leadership positions, and there are always people who are looking to fill some kind of hole in themselves. This person provides an easy, shortcut answer, and they wind up having followers. How a guy like Jose Luis Miranda could have one person following him is beyond belief to me, and yet he has a worldwide following. You know, wealthy. He's got rings, gold, chains, girls. He's got everything. This guy. He's got a great life, fooling people. He's a scam artist who's uses religion, and if you look at Joseph Smith, if you look at a lot of the prophets, they have similar backgrounds. You know, so the last thing we want to do is
the easiest thing to sell because it's an invisible product.
Mm-hmm.
That by the way, you can't test it out until after you die. So no one's there to complain after you drive this thing off the lot and it breaks down because you're dead. Okay? So you're selling a product that's invisible, that can't be complained about because that's blasphemy, and can't be tested. Now, what salesman doesn't want a piece of that territory?
Well, thank God somebody's out there giving the other point of view. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you very much, Tom.